So we all know that Russia has always dominated rhythmic gymnastics. Over centuries, there has always been Olympic champions, world championships, European champions. Everything was taken by Russia and it was dominated. So now we are going to be breaking down the documentary of Russia revolutionizing rhythmic gymnastics, with the star being Iryna Viner and her past students. We're going to be talking about some of the most elite rhythmic gymnasts such as Alina Kabaeva, Yulia, and talking about their stories in rhythmic gymnastics and why Russia dominates it. So starting with Yulia, she had a problem with her weight. Her foot was very small for her height, and that caused a lot of injuries if she didn't keep in proportions. Now for rhythmic gymnasts, they have to have a certain amount of kilograms that they have to weigh. And for her, she had to weigh about 50 kilograms. But because she really liked eating quite a lot of sweets, she had quite a bit of a sweet tooth. And so she couldn't get that number of 50, 51, which was ideal for her height and for preventing that injury. She weighed 54 kilograms. And even when she did weigh 51 with a few grams, the coaches straight away saw how much she weighed, and it really did affect those few little grams, did affect her weight and how she performed. So in order to be at her gymnastics form and be at her peak, she had to lose 3 kilograms, which she found really hard. She's a beautiful gymnast, long lines, very good expression, but it's the weight that really was her weak spot. She tried all sorts of methods, physiotherapy, in order to improve her foot and to be able to not miss those big starts such as Grand Prix, the World Championships, the European Championships.
Держала себя в руках. Если бы не поправлялась, то было бы легче моим ногам и меньше вероятности, что была бы какая-то травма.
У всех гимнасток определена норма веса, у нее тоже она определена. У нее есть еще 3 лишних килограмма, которые мешают ей полноценно тренироваться.
Как вот я выступила на Европе, я еще тогда была в хорошей форме, вот после этого как-то потихоньку началось все поправляться.
Alina Kabaeva also had a similar problem with weight, where Iryna Viner was like, no, you're too old of a gymnast, you need to lose 3 kilograms, we're giving you 3 days in order for you to secure your spot and actually be part of the national team. Otherwise, if in those 3 days she wouldn't be able to lose those 3 kilograms, she'd be off the team and she wouldn't be allowed to compete. And so Alina Kabaeva tried to just drink water for breakfast, lunch and dinner. She had a water-based diet, and in those 3 days she did manage to lose 3 kilograms because she really wanted to stay in rhythmic gymnastics and train with Iryna Viner. Iryna Viner said that she was such a great gymnast. She always, if she needed to lose weight, she would do it. If something was asked for her, she would do it fully because she loved rhythmic gymnastics so much, and she would do anything for the sport. Alina Kabaeva said that she wasn't even the most talented gymnast. She really was just a hard worker and really wanted it, and said that there were girls that were much better than her in rhythmic gymnastics, but they couldn't survive mentally because of the psychological pressure of the sport, and that is why the girls had to retire.
Сказали, что ты должна похудеть на 3 килограмма, вот тебе 3 дня, и сидеть только на одной воде. Мама, приехала, посмотрела, как я живу, говорит, как ты тут кушаешь? И я помню, как я открыла занавеску, показала бутылки своими с минеральной водой. Это, говорю, мой завтрак, обед и ужин.
Она всю жизнь была голодная. Она всю жизнь должна была держать форму свою. Но Алина преодолевала все. Она худела, она сидела на воде. Она в этом отношении была молодец. Она иногда распускалась, но когда нужно, она выходила тонюсенько.
Девчонки, которые могли бы мне создать такую конкуренцию сумасшедшую, они просто не смогли дойти до Олимпиады. А вот именно психологически не смогли. Они просто не выдерживали и уезжали, хотя они могли быть реально олимпийскими чемпионами.
Margarita Mamun is similar, a very different gymnast. She's out of the ordinary. When you think of a stereotypical Russian gymnast, she doesn't fall into that category. At first, she didn't really like rhythmic gymnastics, but she's glad that her parents forced her to do it, and she developed the love for it after. She's really good quality with her moves. The only problem that she had is that she cannot feel her foot whenever she points. She doesn't really feel to stretch it. And that's the only concern that it is, because it's a minor area that everybody keeps going on about. She is a workaholic and she is quite introverted in ways that she does not want for anybody to see her cry. When the coaches try and force her to do things and working those 9 hours because she was making a mistake in her ribbon routine, and she wanted to give up, but not really. She didn't want anybody to see how she was coping. So she turned around and tried to soak her tears with a tissue and stay quiet for the coaches not to see. And Iryna Viner was just in pure shock because she's never had that before. Margarita Mamun was always born to perform, according to Iryna Viner. She isn't meant to compete. And when you do have that mindset, or give her the mindset that you have to go out there and win first place, she loses it, and you just need to ground her and stay focused. So it's a different approach. Iryna Viner calls Margarita Mamun an angel.
Она выступала на чемпионате Европы, у нас были контрольные тренировки. Рита тренировалась в тот день 9 часов без остановки. У нее в этот день просто не сложилось. Она никак не могла тогда сделать это упражнение с ленты. Я сидела и думала, когда же она заплачет, когда вот что-то должно случиться. Рита подходила там к салфетке у нас, она подходила и просто промокала, вот так отворачивалась от нас с Ириной Санной, чтобы мы этого не видели, и промокала глаза. Ирина Санна сказала, что вот такого у меня еще не было. И она стала тогда чемпионкой Европы в упражнении с лентой.
Она ангел. Вот я на нее никогда голоса не повышала. В жизни. Никогда. Риточка, мамуня. И даже когда она выступила плохо, она подошла ко мне, она говорит, почему? Я ей все объяснила, почему. Она со мной согласилась. Я ее очень крепко поцеловала, мы обнялись. И никаких у нас не было проблем.
Yana Kabaeva touched on the Olympics and the first time in Sydney where she came as clear favorite to win. She even was so confident in her routines. Everything felt so easy. Training felt easy. She was at peak form. She thought she had that Olympic gold medal in her pocket. And she came out from the Sydney Olympics, made a silly mistake on the hoop and got third place. And from there on, she knew that she should have never been this arrogant or self-confident in herself, because from that moment, the trainings also fell, and just because you're the Olympic favorite, you haven't even won the gold yet, so you can't think yourself or praise yourself that you've already secured that gold and became the Olympic champion. Yana prefers to have trainings first. She feels more confident in the trainings rather than performance, and she says that maybe it comes down with experience, but it's less nerve-wracking. She's able to really express herself and show what to do more risks, elements, and she isn't afraid. Whereas at competitions, depending even on the audience, if it's a big stage, if the audience don't feel really welcoming, she can really feel introverted and not perform her best. Yana has always had this sportsman-like facility and mindset in a way that she always needs to beat the competition. She always looks at the score. If there's 1 point different, she's going to try and overcome that competitor. So she's always in that mindset game. Yana says that it's always so hard to compete in Russia because of the amount of competition that's in Russia. It's so hard because you know that there's so many spare people waiting their go, and you can be replaced so easily if you're not up to that standard. And so you can never really rest on your laurels and think anything, because the girl next to you might beat you.
У нее папа олимпийский чемпион, и когда она допустила одну ошибку в одном упражнении, в первом упражнении, она внимательно смотрела за всеми оценками, которые получали ее конкурентки, и спрашивала, сколько мне нужно, чтобы догнать, сколько мне нужно, чтобы перегнать, сколько нужно. И выходила с этим настроем и получала именно те оценки, чтобы догнать, а потом перегнать. И это случилось.
Мне, например, даже на чемпионате России сложнее соревноваться, потому что внутри России намного больше конкуренции.
Скамейка запасных очень большая, и буквально каждая девочка, и Маша Титова, и даже та же Юлия Синицына, все могут заменить. Нет такого, что как бы я незаменимая. Нет, конечно же, очень много хороших девочек, которые могли бы встать на мое место.
То есть расслабляться нельзя?
Конечно, вообще ни на шаг нельзя.
The reason why Russia feels so responsible to always win the rhythmic gymnastics competition is because rhythmic gymnastics was born in Russia in the Soviet Union and it was passed down. And Iryna Viner feels this responsibility that they're the owners of the sport. It was originated in Russia and so it needs to be kept in Russia. And that is why there's a whole field of movement that she thinks she's responsible and needs to create the rhythmic gymnasts to be the absolute best in order to protect the Russians. It's given children responsibility and discipline at the same time. Then they talk about the different elements and how rhythmic gymnastics is not improving or revolutionizing as it should have. At Alina's time, she was competing with 25 elements and she was winning. And according to Iryna Viner, she said the West didn't keep up with the Russians and so they lowered the plank with 17 elements. Then it went down to 12 elements and now it's only been competing with 9 elements and a hidden score. They don't know if they wanted to even out a plank and make everybody equal, but Alina Kabaeva says that it has really dimmed the sparkle of rhythmic gymnastics. It has really turned into some dance and not sport. Do they really want rhythmic gymnastics not become an Olympic sport again? Alina Kabaeva says that she cannot even look at individual rhythmic gymnastics because it's just dancing, there's barely any elements, there's no risk. She knows that Margarita Mamun can do so many cool elements, but she doesn't want to risk it because there's only 9 elements and they need to be as perfect as possible in order for Russia to secure their place, because those risky elements that she can do would not be counted. And if she made a mistake, that would be a deduction completely. She says that they just want to equalise and everybody to be in the even playing field. That loses the spark in rhythmic gymnastics and people don't become individual. It's the same thing watching the individuals. But in groups, she praises them and says that it's so fun watching them. They're cool elements, they risk. They really show on the sport and really they glamorise it completely. She calls this a shame and she feels that after she left rhythmic gymnastics, she thought, where would the sport go? And according to her, now that she sees it, it's not going anywhere, it's not developing. Iryna Viner says that you can't lower the plank in rhythmic gymnastics. You can't say that the maximum height for a girl to jump is 3 meters and if they jump more, it won't be counted. It just defeats the whole purpose of trying to develop the sport and show more risk elements, especially if it's an Olympic sport. Because don't forget, it's not just artistry, it is a sport. There's a reason why dance or ballet not part of the Olympics. There was once a time when Alina Kabaeva was doing all these risky elements as well, even though they weren't even counted because they were not in the rule book. And one time one person came to Iryna Viner and said, why are you doing this? You know this is not going to be counted. Iryna Viner says, let her do it, it looks pretty. She did those elements perfectly. Then they started counting them. And so Alina Kabaeva was getting more points for them. And so other girls tried to also try and recreate elements and make up their own elements and make it more harder. And so the level of sport and the level of difficulty was rising and people were trying to compete with the very best. Iryna Viner says that the groups are really hard, but she loves watching them completely. She trains them more than the individuals and they're getting higher scores than the individuals or roughly the same. So if Yana Kudryavtseva was competing, the groups would be getting equally the same score as her. So the level of difficulty in an individual of Yana Kudryavtseva is made up of a whole team of Yana Kudryavtseva.
Сейчас всех уравняли, потому что говорят о том, что Европа, Запад не может подтянуться к России. Все танцуют, какие-то танцевальные дорожки делают. Что это за бред? Это спорт или это танцы? Что они делают? Они сейчас добьются того, чтобы с олимпийского вида спорта убрали художественную гимнастику. Я знаю, что и Мамун может сделать такие элементы, но просто это не считается, она не хочет рисковать, потому что если она уронит на этом элементе, Все, она не будет на первом месте, к сожалению. Никто тебе не засчитает. Мне очень обидно, что так в художественной гимнастике происходит. Когда я заканчиваю, думаю, куда же гимнастика дальше пойдет? Оказывается, ничего дальше нет. Она не развивается.
Но это искусственно нельзя делать. Искусственно нельзя понижать планку и сказать, в длину самое большее 3 метра. А кто прыгает дальше, это нас не интересует. Ну, прыгайте сколько хотите. А нас это не интересует. Пожалуйста.
Главное чистенько выступить и станцевать, и все равны, чтобы никто не выделялся. И мне очень обидно. Ребята, как Ирина Санна говорит, очнитесь.
Yulia still remained to struggle with her weight, and so she was sent home, packing her bag. But Iryna Viner said if she ever really wanted to come back, the doors are always open, and if she really wants to compete with herself, it's a shame because so many talented girls disappear because they cannot cope with themselves, they give up on themselves, which Alina Kabaeva thinks is completely wrong because you're throwing away all that hard work that you've done yourself and for the sport and for those people behind you. It's really ungrateful for what they have done. And so giving up on yourself is literally not acceptable. Everyone in rhythmic gymnastics competes, they are rivals, but they're also really great friends. Yana Kudryavtseva says that sometimes whenever she makes a mistake, she always cheers on for Margarita Mamun to do her very best. They are best friends in real life. And yes, they are competitions and rivals on the carpet, but they always support each other and always wish for the very absolute best. Because they live with each other, they're like family now. Alina Kabaeva has opened up a festival for ordinary kids from different regions to be able to compete, to be able to put on a show, because obviously everyone's dream is to go into and work with Iryna Viner to become Olympic champions. But this opportunity is really given to show young talents off, especially if you're not from Moscow, which Iryna Viner praises and says that Alina Kabaeva is doing a great job because it not only demonstrates and develops talent, but it also brings out that lots of children can have this opportunity and be able to be seen by big celebrities and live out a dream that they always wished for. I really hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. If you did, please give it a like, subscribe, comment down below, and I will see you in my next video. Mwah.